Welcome to the Creative Brew, helping you keep your creative juices brewing. We're giving out chunks of insight, motivation, and practicality for your creative journey. My next partner is Elevate Coffee Trading, and if you appreciate specialty coffee, enjoy outdoor adventure, and love helping elevate the lives of children around the world, then you're going to love Elevate Coffee Trading. Their mission is to extract hope through love, coffee, and adventures. There's free shipping in the United States, and every bag of coffee helps sponsor health and education for children in coffee producing countries and in areas of need in the United States. You can use promo code Elevate21 on your next order, and you can follow their journey on social media at Elevate Coffee Trading. Or you can visit online at elevatecoffeetrading.com, and let's start extracting hope together. And this episode is brought to you by Baba Coffee, smuggling good vibes. Baba roasts their coffee beans each week and only offers the freshest coffee. They have espressos, lattes, cappuccinos, pour over, or drip coffee. You can try their cold brew coffee, nitro cold brew, or bulletproof coffee, and boba milk teas. They also have a wide assortment of delicious food. I would suggest you try the avocado toast, mimosas, wine, or beer. On the weekends, you can check out some great music like the Soto Six and food like Eliza the Shelf and others over the weekend, every Friday and Saturday, beginning at 6 p.m. You can check out everything they got going on Facebook and Instagram at Baba Coffee. And welcome to a new episode of The Creative Brew, giving you insights on your creative journey. Today we have Kaleb. He is, and like I said, he's going to tell a story, but military veteran, now turned artist extraordinaire. I've got the chance to meet him over in Cleveland at the Art House, and got a chance to check out his work. Beautiful work. He'll describe when you get a chance to to listen to him. He'll share his specific sort of style of painting, which is really, like I said, really really cool. But yeah, that's I know usually on my art travels or just going and going back home, just having the privilege and the opportunity to be able to come back and meet incredible artists like Kaleb. So without further ado, I am going to let Kaleb sort of go with it, share his origin story, and we'll get going.
All right. Thanks, Quanto. First, thank you so much for letting me be on. I'm really been excited and looking forward to this. I have probably one of the more unorthodox art journeys. Like you said, I was in the Marine Corps. At age 17, I enlisted, trained. I got stationed at Camp Lejeune. Spent most of my career there, but throughout my career, I had a really bad traumatic brain injury and just kind of a freak accident that happened. And it ended up forcing me into like an early retirement. And I had never painted before. It wasn't my cup of tea. I wasn't, I'm coming from a football, Marine Corps wrestling background, not really a big artsy guy. So stereotypical jock, I guess you'd say. And during the whole process of going out, I'm doing all my medical checkups, getting cleared to go back to civilian life. And one of the things that happened to me was I got sent to the traumatic brain injury center at Camp Lejeune, and I had a choice between music or art therapy. And as you can probably guess, I chose music therapy. So my music therapist ended up not showing up that day, but I still had to get a signature on my documentation. So I went over to the art therapist. She was a lovely lady named Miss Danielle. She was like, I can tell you don't really want to be here right now. And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of just here for the signature, trying to hurry this along so I can start planning my life. And she was like, well, if you don't want to be here, paint where you'd rather be at. And I was like, okay, simple enough. If it gets me the signature, I'll hurry this up and get out. So I did my little painting, a little acrylic painting, and I was like, this is kind of fun. So I was a little proud of it. It was a little mountain scene, me ice fishing under the northern lights, and I posted it online. And at the time, I have no idea what I'm going to do when I'm getting out. This is the only job I've ever had in my whole life, and I posted it. And somebody hit me up. They were like, "Hey, this is a really cool painting. Would you be interested in like selling it?" And I was like, I didn't really put that much thought into it, but yeah, sure. And the person bought the painting, and I was like, maybe I can turn this into something. So originally it was unorthodox. God put me in the right place at the right time, and He was like, you might not, you think you know what you want, but I'm gonna show you something totally different. And it ended up becoming my career, and I met so many wonderful, awesome people from it.
Good deal. Good deal. Yeah, sometimes, yeah, I think you bring up a great point because sometimes, we got these, plans or things that we want, and we find ourselves, we definitely find, God sort of backtracking and like, hey, we got something else for you. So, and I do find more people, especially out here. There's more people, and a quick shout out to a couple of my artists, Loose and CB, both of them former veterans, and now they teach art, do art classes, but they do a lot of art therapy for the military. So I do encourage for anyone that's listening to this, if you're in the military, and you're trying to figure out productive ways to deal with your trauma and stress.
Mhm.
I would definitely suggest going into art therapy. Stay away from the bars; you'll get in trouble. But yeah, so it's and I'm glad you sort of turned that corner because now, I mean, like I said, I know I see you online, and I see people purchasing your artwork, all the time, and you doing galleries. And how would you with your style now, how would you define your artwork?
Yeah, it's weird. So everybody says that artists are copycats, and I kind of agree with it, but in a positive way. You pick things from people you admire and you try to kind of replicate it. Obviously, the Impressionists, I'm a huge fan of them. I'd say it's kind of weird that I compare myself to. I don't want to. In fact, I don't want to compare myself to him because I think I put him on such a high pedestal. But John Singer Sargent's my favorite artist of all time, and his portraits are amazing. And I try to associate that with like florals and creating illusions. That was something that one of my art instructors told me. He was like, you know, an artist's job is to create an illusion and make the person who's viewing the painting believe that they're looking at what you want them to believe. So it isn't necessarily that I'm painting what you think you're seeing. It's I'm tricking you in a positive way into believing that you're seeing what I want you to see. So I guess illusionistic impressionist, I don't really have a term for it. But yeah, no, I'm kind of all over the place. I have a wide array of subject matters. I'm a big nature guy. Growing up in the South, in the Appalachia, I was always up in nature, orienteering, doing whatever. So yeah, no, I'm a nature impressionist and illusionist, I guess.
That's cool. That's cool. So what's been your so I know you said you started out with acrylic. Is that what you still use, or do you do more like mixed media
Yeah,
with your paintings?
yeah, no, I'm definitely a mixed media artist now. I for a while I was strictly acrylic when I first started off, just because it was more affordable and the dry time. And
Hmm.
then I went strictly to oil, and then I kind of created my own chimera mixed media of kind of combining the two things, and kind of having fun with that, trying different things. I mean, I'm at one point I was using spray paint. I was just trying all sorts of stuff, man.
Uh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so with you now, going through and so now you got your style, got your process and everything going. How much do you usually sort of as far as your creative output? I didn't know how many paintings you're usually putting out like per week or per month.
Yeah, man, this is my 9 to 5. I wake up early. I'm painting as I'm nonstop painting. So my goal is to complete at least two smaller paintings a day. And then while I'm doing that, I'm working on my large paintings that tend to go towards galleries. So, like
Mm.
for example, I was talking to somebody the other day. They were like, "How do you price your paintings?" I was like, "I think I kind of attack. I go at it in a duality mindset of, some stuff's going to be market, and you might not make a lot of money off it, but you're able to afford your art materials so that you can go after what you really want." So I paint those while I'm painting my larger paintings that I really enjoy painting.
Yeah, 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 that's a good idea. I've noticed, more people doing that. Just yeah, just with a lot of the artists that I know, I see them creating some more smaller pieces, and
Mm-hmm.
then maybe if they're working on some kind of large series or collection or something like that, then that's obviously their big project, that
Yes.
they're working on. So and like I said, I get a chance to talk with a lot of aspiring, artists, and a lot of them, they come to me sometimes feeling like their work isn't good enough, and rightfully so. I think that's for like any, just artist sort of beginning out, or even any creator starting out. Right now, I mean, do you and I know everyone's different, but how do you get through that resistance? Like maybe feeling like sort of like I'm stuck in a rut, or I feel like, man, this isn't, working like I want it to. Like what things do you do to sort of get through that?
I gotta give the Marine Corps a lot of credit for my lifestyle and the way I kind of approach certain things. Also being an athlete, growing up, and I'm sure you know this because I know you coach wrestling, but I approach everything as you got to swing the bat to hit a home run.
Hmm.
So even if you're failing, you're moving. You know what I mean? Keep trying, and you're going to meet a lot of resistance with it, but as long as you're moving, you're moving. So that's my mindset with it.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, I do see a lot of, yeah, younger artists. Maybe they get down on themselves and then they sort of stop for a while and then come back to it. Instead of just sort of just staying consistent. Every day. So I think that's always the difference between a, professional like yourself and someone that's, more of an amateur, and they're sort of going through the motions. Maybe they feel like it's not good enough, and they sort of stop, and feel like they're a loser, and then eventually maybe they get the motivation to come back, and really just having the toughness. I think with obviously with military and with sports too. I know I've learned how to you create that resistance, not the resistance, but that resilience, and
Yeah.
the perseverance to sort of just you keep going. And that's the only thing that you can do. I know it's been more than a few times where I felt like, hey, I think this is it. But you figure out every day to you keep going, and you just get better. You get better at your skill sets. And I know even as an artist, I think the biggest thing, probably the most resounding thing, is how do I market myself, or how do I promote myself? And I see you, and I know AJ. I see a lot of y'all doing some really cool things as far as promoting different events and galleries coming up. Do you feel like that's a required skill set now for a lot of creators, like just being able
Yeah.
to market and sell yourself?
Yeah. I mean, when it's all said and done, I hate to say it like this because it's a passion, but it is something that, you know, you have to sell. And, being a some of the best artists I know, they don't ever show their artwork, Like I recently got elected the vice president of our Civic Arts League here in Chattanooga, and we have artists in there that are, 90 years old and they've been painting for 70 years and never shown their artwork. And I'm like, this artwork is amazing. It smokes me. And some other artists that I know are selling a lot of artwork, but I'm like, why is this? And it's just that they never advertise it. They never showed it, And that's the world we live in. It's part of a capitalistic society. We got to push it to get the sale. So I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I do think that it's I'd say probably about 60% is being on social media. I mean, I hate to say it, but I spend more time on social media sometimes than I do actually painting. And it's just that's what you have to do.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah, there's so many. Yeah, so many, really a lot of talented people, and yeah, some of them, they just never show their work,
You never see
show
their
the
artwork,
work,
you know?
and
Yeah,
so yeah, I do encourage that, like being brave enough to sort of put yourself out there. I
that
think
is
with
part of it.
yeah, and I think with especially with you, I mean, I'm sure you're one of those that you probably have some tough skin, and I think some of the younger artists, or maybe just people that's trying to put their stuff out there, sometimes they're just afraid of criticism. Sometimes you get out there and like, oh, this is horrible, or why would you do that? And just having that tough skin, I remember fondly, even being back at UTC, Chattanooga, in the design department, and we used to have some brutal critique sessions, and
Yeah.
that taught me real quick to sort of like get that feedback and understand like sometimes your work may not be good enough, and you figure out ways of going back to it and revising it, but it definitely taught me a lesson, especially going out in the real world, and running my creative business. Yeah, you deal with a lot of people. Sometimes some pushback, to where they may not like your work, or maybe you put something out and like they just don't like it. Um, so it's just part of the landscape sometimes.
It is. It is. You're 100% right. And I was also going to say, it's okay to be critiqued. It's okay for people to, you know, kind of put you down because there's been plenty of times in my art career and my personal life, people kind of have negatively affected me, and you come to a point where you're kind of like sitting back and you're like, man, like what am I going to do about it? And it's kind of a messed up saying, but it's okay to take certain things personal, like you get that Michael Jordan syndrome to a certain sense, where you kind of use it as a driving factor to improve yourself, because that should be your goal, not just as an artist but as a person, to constantly improve yourself. So that's the way I've always kind of looked at it.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a yeah, great philosophy to have. I mean, it's just yeah, definitely. I know I told myself like I wanted to attempt to try to learn, at least one new thing like each month. Just something that it could be completely away from art, but just something that's going to like fire my neurons up, because with the things that I'm doing between coaching and design and podcasting and everything else. It's one of those where I think the more that I can connect the dots with people, that's where I get better solutions, to maybe to an ideal or to anything. If I can connect the dots more, so forcing myself to like just learn new things.
Yeah,
It may not be part of my skill set, or I may add it to my skill set, but it's just getting that habit of just continually learning, and really just unlearning. I mean, even with me, I still train and roll around, and sometimes I got to go back and like unlearn certain things that I've just habits, and sort of going back to the drawing board and tweaking things, and that's the fun part. Um, and I think once you get to that, really into that mindset, then that's where you start to grow as an artist, and you start to expand yourself. Sometimes we get bottled up in a certain in a maybe in a certain box. Someone feels
yeah,
like you're in the military or you're in sports, you shouldn't do art, and for me, like that's always been a part of who I am. Like I've always been in sports and I've always been in art, and now I feel myself sort of merging everything together. But it's just really being that anomaly, and say, look, hey, I can play football, or I can lift weights, and I can enjoy a color palette. I mean, there's nothing there's nothing wrong with that. So it's just breaking that stigma, and I think that allows people to sort of become who they need to be.
definitely, definitely. Couldn't agree with you more, man.
So right now, I mean, creative tips. What are some creative tip or tips for our audience?
Go out, first of all. Go check out art shows. Go see what other people in your community are doing. See what you can kind of cultivate from other artists, including what you want in your on your art. And constantly just ask questions, because a lot of times artists, they like talking about their artwork, ask how they're doing something. And just throw the lure out there, see what you can get. Meet people, see from a business point of view, if anybody's looking for like artists, are they recruiting for markets, shows, et cetera. Try new what art supplies, like little things like that. It adds up, and you start like today, for instance. I'm not a flower guy. Well, I mean, I am a flower guy because I paint a lot of florals. But I went down to Georgia, where I'm from. There's a town called Griffin, and we're called the city of irises. And I painted a lot of flowers before, and I was like, "What's an iris look like?" And I looked it up, and I was like, "Oh, this is a beautiful flower." And I painted one for the first time today. So I mean, just go out, do things. You'll be surprised what you learn just from traveling and seeing things. So
Yep. Those are some great tips. Be willing to explore. Like just go out there
yes,
and try something new. Ask more questions. I think sometimes we feel like we absorb all this information and we like ask questions. Sometimes asking the right question may push yourself into the next that next trajectory.
definitely.
So for you, for I mean, even for you, everything that you've got going on right now, do you see yourself? And like I said, maybe you can elaborate better. With you marketing yourself, or do you feel like maybe I didn't know if there was a point to where you feel like maybe I might need to get a like an art agent or someone to represent me. I didn't know if you've gotten to that point yet or not.
I'll be honest with you, I was thinking about that today. So
All right.
I was sometimes it's overwhelming. I ain't gonna lie. Like I said, I'm spending about 60% of the time on social media, either advertise, because I run Raven Oak Art, where I'm either teaching a class, or I'm showing my artwork or hosting a show. And then I'm also part of Blind Tiger Art, which is something I do with my partner Brittany, and we do art markets around Chattanooga. And then also the Civic Arts League, which is, we have about 70 artists, incredible artists, and we do shows. So I'm like, man, I'm trying to stay afloat with everything. So I was saying the other day, just for sometimes I'm so focused with all that, I don't really get time for my own personal art, my art stuff. And that's where I'm like, maybe I need some help with that. So I'm kind of to that point. But I'd say, starting off, first of all, give this a try where you're running everything yourself, so that you can have that knowledge. Because I think that's good knowledge to have, not just as an artist, but as a human being, because you never know when you're going to need to run an event, or help somebody with an event. So definitely give that a try first.
Yeah, that's truth. Yep, like that. So I mean, words of wisdom. What and this is something I generally ask a lot of my guests. What are some some words of wisdom that may resonate with our audiences?
Yeah. I think you know I, I know I'm supposed to talk a lot about art, but I keep kind of going back to my personal life with it. But this is some advice that my uncle gave me growing up. He was like, nephew, listen, a smart person learns from their mistakes. A wise person learns from others people's mistakes. So, it kind of goes back to watching people, seeing what you can pick up from them in a positive way to influence. And also learn from the negative things also, what you don't want to be, what you want to stay away from, and how you influence people, and, positively and negatively, and just staying on top of things like that. So, constantly learn from other people. I think that's part of the human experience. So.
Yeah, yep. It's yeah, I do find myself even as a artist. I tell my wife a lot of times, not to be like stalkerish or anything, but I do like I people watch all the time. So I was like I sit there
Definitely.
and I think it's I even as a coach, like I'm around so many different people all the time, and it just forces me to sort of just observe how people interact, what people's energy levels are, how they respond to certain things. Uh,
Yeah.
it's all it's sort of weird. It's one of those where you see maybe the culmination of people's days. You sometimes you can see it on their faces sometimes, or on their in their body posture. But yeah, definitely. From what you said, yeah, definitely just learning how to observe and learn from other people's mistakes.
Yeah.
I think that's yeah really critical. I know, I know I've made some mistakes, and I think if for anyone like running their own thing, you're not coming out perfect. But
Hmm.
I want to do my best to sort of make sure that I stay sort of stay consistent, and I help share, give value to the clients that I work with. But yeah, it can be hard. It can be hard, doing a lot of those things, by yourself. And but at the same time too, it's allowed me to sort of amass a wide set of skills that that I can, apply to different things, even learning how. I mean, I've had so many people, they'll come to me like, "How do you start your podcast?" And I was like, "Well, you just you research online how to start. It's like you get your phone and you just start recording. I mean, it ain't that." But
Yeah.
it so it's just one of those. I think sometimes they fall in love with like the high production and all this stuff that they see on social media. They know you just sometimes you just got to start with what you got,
Just
and
do it, you know?
just yeah, just go from there. But yeah, it's but that those some good words, some good words. So right now, if you had the power, if you had the the power of God, and you had you were able to go back in time and talk to your younger self, what would you say to him?
Oh man. Yeah, no, I'd say God tends to find a way to humble you really quick. So as soon as you get comfortable, you're probably going to be uncomfortable. So, like I said earlier, my Marine Corps career, I thought I was going to be 20 years in, and I was first class doing everything right, and then just a freak accident happens and totally turns my life upside down. And little things like that, it's you're going to be knocked down a lot, and get back up and keep, and it's going to happen again. So get comfortable being uncomfortable and keep swinging. So and remain humble, modest, honest, and try to live your life in a way that you'd want your son to live. So
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So right now, I mean, is there any kind of just shout outs or anyone that you want to give shout outs to, or maybe any kind of events
yeah,
uh, going on?
definitely, definitely. I know we both know the Hetzels. They're an incredible gallery in Cleveland. Got to shout them out. As I mentioned earlier, the Civic Arts League. If you're a artist around Chattanooga, you want to go and see some incredible artwork, go check them out because so much knowledge in that room. I've learned so much just in my short time being around them. And Blind Tiger Art, Raven Oak Art. That's where a lot of my stuff winds up. Or if you're on Instagram, you can follow me on Kaleb Knowles Art and check out all my stuff. And just the Chattanooga art community, I love it. This has become my home very quick. I love Chattanooga. I know you're a little biased on it as well, so um, just come visit us, come see some of the art shows. I know that I'm actually getting ready to help out La Paz. We're going to have an art show pretty soon, and I know I'm also starting to start the preparation for our third annual Walk Through the Garden art show at Stone Cup Cafe in downtown Chattanooga. So I know you like coffee, so
Yeah.
come through and come check that out. And last but not least, this is next year, but I'm going to have a solo show at the Core Gallery in Louisville, Kentucky during the Kentucky Derby. So I'm pretty excited about that one.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
And
I know you
when
asked for
did you
something
say that
small. I
was?
just went on a whole year's worth of tangent.
Yeah. When did you say that was? That was at that specific one at the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, I believe that's in May. I'll have to check the date because like I said, I need somebody helping me with everything.
Yeah, that's I told you you need some kind of art, you need an intern or assistant or something
I
to
need somebody.
um So yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Caleb, for coming on to the show. You get it for listeners, for anyone listening to this, you get a chance to check this out. Please share it, like it. I'm going to say it again. Find ways of supporting local art, local businesses, local organizations. Um, I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of cuts going on. There's a lot of things going on at the federal level, but you can help. Don't be one of those to where you contract when things get bad. Sometimes you got to do the opposite. Sometimes you got to help support, help share. Uh, all that stuff costs zero. You can get Caleb's art or the whatever artist you like and share it out for 0 cents. You for a lot of people, they spend more time doom scrolling than actually supporting a local artist or a local creator or a local business. So while you have that spare time, go out there and just support. I'll say that again. So it's just right now, I think the arts in general is it's really they're really having to fight. I think within the arts and culture uh, sector there. So it's a lot of things that's happening right now. So it's just really imperative. Um, support these ventures, support the things that people like Caleb love to do, and and art in the arts enriches everyone's life. It's not just for the elite; it's for the lower class all the way up. And so find ways of supporting the art, supporting culture, supporting creativity. So that's my little art advocacy rant there. But I wanted to make sure that if you listen to this, go out and show your support. If you're in the Chattanooga area, hey, support the things that Caleb and everyone's doing. And I think just a rising tide. Everyone lifts up together. So that's what I got. Thank you, Caleb, for coming on to this episode. Um, Also, too, I want to give a quick shout out to my sponsors for the show, Baba Coffee, that's based in Carlsbad, California. Elevate Coffee Trading, based out of the Dallas, Texas area. My arts partner, Studio Ace Arts, is the art my arts partner here in Oceanside, California, providing classes, events, workshops for kids through adults. So please check them out. The Breakfast Mug, one of my favorite breakfast spots in Oceanside, California. So if you're out here, check them out. Two locations, one in Oceanside, other one's in Carlsbad. Um, and that's what I got. If you want to support this episode, you can go to www.buymeacoffee.com/the creative brew. And for the price of a cup of coffee, you can support this episode with Caleb as well as future episodes. So everything helps. And I definitely have some cool plans for this show. Like I said, definitely would love to take it on the road, travel, meet amazing people like Caleb, check out some art, check out various cities. So that's my big plan right now. For people listening to this, you can help out. But that's what I got. So thanks, Caleb, for coming on. Please, you get a chance when this show releases, go follow him. At Caleb what was it again? I forgot.
Caleb Knowles on.
Knowles Art.
Yep.
Yep, on Instagram. So you get a chance to check it out. Please follow him, give him a like, and then more importantly, hey, if you're in the Chattanooga area, hey, buy some art. So that's what I got today. So be creative, stay inspired. All I know is hard work, really nothing else. I resort to smoking weed, yo, cause nothing helps. Called to hold me up, told them loot to sample up. We gotta come together now, cause I had enough. The time is now, there'll never be another one.